You're not going to sell it off to some stranger. That makes you more or less a bastard. Like you're selling your father's house. You're selling your inheritance. You don't do it. Hey guys, how are you all doing? My name is Blessing Njoh, and here is another very interesting episode within my Dutch culture shock series. And in this series, I talk about all the strange, odd, weird things that I find within the Netherlands. I live here as an expat, live here together with my husband and a beautiful baby boy. And well, I have lots of videos on my other channel where I upload all of the different things that I find shocking here in the Netherlands. So this is kind of like a new channel, so you can go check out the other videos if you like. Otherwise, just stay put and enjoy. All right, so this video is going to be very brief, and I want to talk about the fact that here in the Netherlands, when you get old, you go to the old people's home. And it is totally different from where we come from. Like with our background, it is more or less inculcated in our culture that when our aged parents get to that age that they can no longer cater for themselves, that they stay back and they stay in our homes and we take care of our parents. So that is more or less like giving back the love that they gave to us, raising us up, giving back the care and everything that we got from them. And it is totally different here in the West. And here it is not as though people do not love their parents or their aged ones. It's just the way that the culture is set up. The system also is set up in such a way that you do not leave. If you are an adult, you move out of your parents' homes. And it is also the same thing that when your parents become really old and feeble, they do not continue to reside in your own home, so they kind of like move them over if they can no longer live on their own in their own home. So I'm just gonna break it down. So like in places like Africa and third world countries, we generally know what we call family homes. We have family homes that you just know that, okay, this family come from here, they live here. So from generation to generation, you still have members of that family living there. So the old people, when they get old, they stay put in that house. When someone moves out of the house, they move out of choice. When like an adult, a man decides to settle down and be on his own, he moves out, he gets his own place, he gets a wife, and they just live on their own, while the old people continue to stay and live in, you know, that family home. And as a woman, when you get to that age of marriage, you kind of like move out and move into your husband's home. And even in situations whereby maybe your family home is far away in the village and all the kids are somewhere in the city, they migrate the old people, maybe your mom, your dad, to come live with you wherever you are. But in very, very rare cases would you see an aged person living all by themselves. They always have someone take care of them. You don't see people taking their parents, their grandparents to an old people's home or a facility where they will be taken care of by nurses, just like you have here in the Netherlands. But here in the Netherlands, it is really commonplace. When you move out, when you're 18, you move out of your parents' house, you go, you know, live somewhere in a student's apartment or something. When you get of age, you rent your own place, you become independent, or you go live with your boyfriend, and then your parents continue to live in the home that they own, maybe in a rented apartment or in a house that they bought. But once they get to that age that they can no longer do it for themselves, they are not going to move in with their kids. Their kids move on with their own family, they have their own kids. Now they are not going to bring their parents into their home. It is like not done. You hardly see it that someone is going to say, oh, my mom is so old, she can no longer walk, she can no longer cook for herself, so I'm bringing her into my home to live with me. Your spouse is not going to accept it. Here in the Netherlands, it's not even, nobody even talks about it. Like, your mom is too old to be on her own, she goes to the old people's home. And to me, that is somewhat shocking, because I'm like, these people, they have family, so why ostracizing them, if that is a proper word? I know it's part of the system, it's part of Dutch culture or tradition that they do that. It's normal. Nobody frowns. Most people don't frown at it. I know people who choose not to be taken to an old people's home. They'll tell you, this is my home. I'll live here till my last breath, till I take my last breath. But when you talk about common practice, people just go to old people's home, and sometimes those people there, they are very lonely. I'm not saying all the time, and their kids come visit, like on Sundays are visiting days. Their kids go visit grandma, grandpa, and they the old people, they look forward to Sundays, when they can see their children and grandchildren again. But it is not the ideal situation. If they had to choose, if they had their way, they would rather continue to live in the same house with their relatives. So this is where those two cultures, my culture and the Dutch culture, kind of like did not meet eyeball to eyeball. So like I was saying about inheritance, or where old people stay in the family home, and that we don't have that here in the Netherlands. Here in the Netherlands, if you have a home, property that belongs to you, when you pass on, your children can inherit the property, but hardly do you see a situation whereby someone inherits an estate from their parents and they continue to live there. They are going to sell it off. And another thing you should know as foreigners or expats here in the Netherlands is that there are inheritance taxes that you have to pay. If you inherit an estate from your parents, you'd have to pay tax over that estate, and that tax could range between 10% to 20% of the profit or the sales from that estate. And that is another crazy thing. With my background, the house, like I said, is a family house. You are not selling the house off. It goes from generation to generation. It's just there. It's forever there. You can renovate it, you can make it look better, you can improve the state of the house, but you're not going to sell it off to some stranger. That makes you more or less a bastard. Like, you're selling your father's house, you're selling your inheritance. You don't do it. But here in the Netherlands, have I heard someone say, oh, my father or my mother left a house for me and I'm going to continue to live there? Hardly do you see that. They always sell it off. Like, they will tell you, oh, my mom just passed on, or my parents just passed on. I'm going to have to clean up the house and prepare it for the next owner. They are going to sell it off. And of course, like I said already, you have to be prepared to pay inheritance tax on the house. So that is really a culture shock to me, to find out or to learn that old people go to old people's homes. They do not continue to live with their kids or with their relatives. They go to another place and live with other old people that are actually strangers, and people do not really inherit family homes. I don't even know anyone here in the Netherlands who will tell you, this is my family house. Like, no, they can tell you, oh, I was born here, or my parents are from here, but nobody can point to you that this is my family house here in the Netherlands. I think only the royal family has a family house. Like, if you're not a member of the royal family, you do not own a family house. There is no home you can say, this is my family house, or my grandfather used to live here and my father lived here and now I live here. I'm not saying it doesn't exist, unless of course you have a father or ancestors that are really wealthy. They own a ranch, a farm, or something. But if you're just a regular middle class person, I'm sorry, you're not having a family home. You're going to have a home you bought, you sell it off, you buy another one, and it's just a total difference in culture. So those of you who are from royal homes, kudos to you. You are those ones that have that palace, that that place that has a history to it. So that is all I have time for today. Let me know what you think about all of the things that I have said in this video today. If you enjoyed it and you found it insightful, do not forget to give the video a thumbs up. Also subscribe to my channel if you like. I would really love to have you as part of this family. And on this channel, like I said already, I do travel, lifestyle, and also just culture shock, and I talk about all the different things that we actually need to learn about other cultures, irrespective of which country it is that I find interesting to talk about. Thank you so much for giving me your time, and I will catch you again on my next video. Bye.